Welcome back to the best of Rslash. Today we're taking a look at IDontWorkHereLady, where OP dresses in a suit and acts as a manager to save a helpless employee. This first post has been shared by Hichtel. First, a little explanation. Here in Germany, we have Bundesländer, kind of like the states in the US, but way less independent. Since the school system is up to the BL, they've often started their summer vacations at different times. The biggest reason being chaos in the highway system if everyone would want to drive to summer vacation on the same day. Also, this is not a recent story, but quite a few years ago. My niece is from Bavaria. I am from Baden-Württemberg. Are you kidding me? Württemberg. Her summer vacation started a whole week earlier than ours, and she came for a visit with my brother and her siblings. It was in the morning, and we decided to take the doggo for a walk and go to the bakery on the other side of the street of a big school complex. I went in. She stayed outside with the doggo. I came back out, and she was gone. Let us introduce our protagonists. The principal passant, me, and my niece. I decided to call her on the cell phone, and this was the talk. "Thank goodness you're calling." Principal screaming in the background, "How dare you take a phone call while I'm talking to you? You are in enough trouble for skipping class." As I later found out, he ripped the phone out of her hand and must have hung up. I realized what must have happened and went into the school to clear up this misunderstanding and go right away to the principal's office, hoping she would either be there or soon be brought by a teacher. Outside, I already hear him screaming at her. "Stop giving me a fake name and stop lying. You won't get out of here until I have the truth. And I promise you, this will be mentioned in your school certificate." We have grades for general behavior here, and teachers can also write a comment in there. It is something employers care about if you look for an apprenticeship, for example. I did not bother knocking and went right in. "Who are you, and how dare you just come in here without knocking?" "I am this girl's uncle. What the hell do you think you're doing here? She does not go to your school." "I guess you were the one on the phone. Nice try, but you will not help her trick her way out of this. I will get to the bottom of this, and I will only release her to her parents. Now get out of my office, or I will call the police and have you arrested for trespassing in a school." Schools are protected places, so you get in way more trouble here for trespassing than usual. I will stay right here to protect my niece from your crazy ass. And calling the cops sounds like a really good idea. After all, you have abducted my niece. So I did call the cops and just told the police that my niece got abducted and to come to the principal's office ASAP. "Do you expect for me to believe your phone call?" "I will stay with her until the police is here." And then he started to shout at my niece again, who was in tears by now. "Stop shouting at my niece! You will not address her till the police is here, or I will shut you up." "That is it. I'm calling the police now to have you arrested and finally found out her real name." So he called the police, only to find out I actually did call the police. Suddenly, he was not so sure anymore, and you could tell the cogs in his head were finally starting to turn. About 5 minutes later, the police finally arrived, and they talked to us separately. Here is roughly what my niece told the cops. She was waiting outside the bakery when the principal came to her like a bat from hell. He screamed at her that he is really fed up with people skipping school the last week before vacation starts and will make an example out of her. Before she could get a word in edgewise, he grabbed her by the arm really hard enough that she got a bruise for it over a week, and that is what started to get him into real trouble. The cops also took her data and confirmed she is from Bavaria. They then asked us if we wanted to press charges, and I just said, throw the book at him. The principal heard the police saying press charges, and suddenly he realized that he was in real deep so he came over. "Hey, this is just a misunderstanding. You don't have to understand. I have to be strict with people skipping school." If by being strict you mean assaulting a 12-year-old so badly she has a handprint from you on her arm that will create a huge bruise, abducting her from my care, and wrongfully imprisoning her in your office while screaming at her and scaring the bejesus out of her, then no, I do not have to understand that. Please, you are completely blowing this out of proportion. I could get suspended without pay over this, and even lose my job." Good. Anybody who treats a scared 12-year-old girl like that should never again get to work with kids. In the end, he really did lose his job, and I'm very glad he did. During the investigation, it turned out he was a sorry excuse for a teacher who belittled kids, who always took the teacher's side no matter how wrong they were, and even had slapped kids on several occasions. He went to court for assault and attempting abducting plus wrongful imprisonment, plus a few more bodily harms against students. He lost his job and pension, got 2 years on probation, and 500 hours community service with the stipulation it could be nothing that involved kids. He was also forbidden to ever work with kids again. This next story has been brought to you by Namya Rula. So, I'm 24, 22 at the time, and I worked as a station agent in a French airport. Those are the people in suits that check you and your luggage in, and even board you or deboard you from planes. I worked with a French company for 8 months during the summer of 2018. Working there was the best. Great hours, big pay, people are but honestly, not so bad once you learn how to deal with them proper. One of my favorite parts of the job were the hours, either from 4 a.m. to 2 p.m. or from 1 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. No weekends, nor public holidays. For most people, that's probably bad, but for me, it was paradise. We would get days off by cycle, and having days off in the middle of the week rocks. Go get groceries with almost nobody in stores, all government agencies open, and less people all around because they are working. A paradise. Now, for the 5 first months there, I would always come dressed in a suit, full suit, even in the middle of summer, with a tie and everything. So I would go home or stop to stores in the suit as well. After a while, I got tired and started to change clothes arriving and leaving from work. This story, of course, happened when I was still coming and leaving from work in a full suit. It was around 3 months after I started. By then, wearing a suit became natural. No more of that weird, uncomfortable feeling while wearing it. It became normal. Even more, I got used to changing my attitude while wearing it, like my posture and people, even in the streets, would think that I am some successful person just because I wear a suit. And I also got quite used to noticing people needing help, problematic customers, and all that. I leave work at 3 or 4 p.m., had to stay longer to cover for someone, and had to head to the store to bring a faulty electronic device I bought there. I walked to the store, wearing only my suit and carrying the thing in a bag. I head towards customer service and immediately notice a man, hand on the counter, leaning toward the cashier. She'll be Julie, and all her colleagues look tense, eyeing the guy. I shrug, not my problem. I'm not paid to deal with that one. I turn to sit and notice that all the seats are taken, so I stay up and pull out my phone. Meanwhile, this guy starts to speak louder and louder. From what I got, the issue was that he wanted to use the store card of his wife, but the store policy is that you can't use the card of another customer, even if you're their relative, as the card can be used to make credit. The guy gets more and more heated up and starts calling around for other people to join. That immediately ticks me off. When I was in training to become station agent, we learned of different types of customers. I won't go into detail, but this guy is what we call a red customer, someone that will rally others to help them get what they want. I see Julie on the verge of tears and I try to think of something to do while the guy starts throwing slurs at her. I finally notice a paper hanging near the counter and take action. I drop my bag, adjust my tie, take my best manager face, and walk to the guy. As soon as he notices me, he smirks and turns to me. "You're the manager," to which I reply, "Yes," while looking at both him and the cashier. As if to judge the situation, Julie turns white. He points at her and says, "This employee is discriminating against me. I want to use a discount on my wife's store card. I have her ID. There is no reason that..." I then take a step forward. I'm not tall, but this guy is taller than me. But he still stops while I get into his face. Without a word, I point at the paper I saw earlier. It's a notice saying that any kind of harassment or insult towards an employee will result in a lawsuit and fine for the customer. It's his turn to turn white, or whiter. He opens his mouth, but I'm faster. She is right. If you want to use that card, you need your wife to be here. Now, I have to ask you to leave, or I'll have to call security. But first, you will apologize. You've been beyond insulting to her. A security guard that is always near steps closer. He turns to the cashier woman, apologizes in a weak voice, and quickly walks off. I walk to Julie and ask if she's okay. She thanks me profusely. Then, another worker comes to me and asks me what to do with a product returned by another client. I giggle, and while pulling my airport ID, simply state, "Sorry, I don't work here. I just can't stand people like that." I was allowed to pass first, got a refund, and smiles from everyone on the team. A good day. You have been listening to the best of Rslash. Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you're hearing, please make sure to leave a thumbs up, as that is the best and fastest way to help our channel grow. Also, if you didn't know already, we create content like this every single day, 7 days a week, on both YouTube and as a podcast. So if you want to hear more, please hit subscribe.